Welcome to Your Future, Your Way, where we explore the many ways to reach your academic and professional goals. Whether you are a recent grad, considering career advancement, or even changing careers, this podcast is for you. You'll hear from current students and alumni who took the leap into graduate-level coursework, as well as faculty and staff who support students on their academic journey. There is more than one way to do higher education. This is Your Future, Your Way. My name is Alyssa Olick, Director of Professional Degrees and Certificates, which is part of the professional programs at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The professional programs portfolio includes 80-plus professional master's degree and certificate programs, as well as over 100 non-credit offerings that cover a range of topics from business to healthcare to education. We are excited to share information, resources, and most importantly, stories from current and former students. Have you ever done something and then realized you did it for the wrong reasons? Have you ever taken the easy option and then felt unfulfilled because you weren't challenged or you weren't doing something you were passionate about? Today, we'll hear from Jesus Cortez, an enrollment coach and an engineering major who pivoted to a Master's of Science in Special Education. Jesus will share his journey from middle school to high school in New York to engineering student here at UW-Madison and how he found his passion through the pandemic and landed in a special education master's program.
So hello, my name is Jesus Cortez. I am currently in the special education teacher certification master's program here at UW-Madison. And a big reason why I chose the major that I'm in is because I felt like I wanted to do something to better the world. So I guess my academic journey starts at high school, really. I'm from New York City, if that's not evident yet. I am from the Bronx, born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx. I went to public school throughout my entire time in New York City. And if you're not familiar with how New York City education works for high school, when you're in middle school, you're given like a book that is textbook thick, and it has all the high schools in New York City. And you get to list 13 of them that you want to go to. A lot of pressure for a middle schooler. So I knew that I was good at math and science, and I was like, oh, this has to be the way to go. And engineering is profitable. So I was thinking this would be the way to go so I can kind of better my life and my family's life. So I went to a high school called Bronx Engineering and Technology Academy, or BETA. And it was a school focused in STEM. At the end of it, I was valedictorian of my high school for my year. So that was a really big accomplishment for me. And the next leg in the journey was college. UW-Madison pushed me. They emailed me saying, like, you would be a really good fit to apply for this school, so you should definitely at least apply. And I was like, okay. So I applied, regular decision, and I got in. And it was the furthest school that accepted me from New York City. So that was the ticket. I was like, yep, I'm going. No matter what, I'm going. I didn't even have a financial aid package at the time. I was like, I'm going. I need to leave. So I got a financial aid package finally, and I got a really good package where I was pretty much fully funded to go to school at UW-Madison. I immediately knew once I came into college, I was going to be an engineering major. I was already in the engineering school. I knew that that was kind of the path for me. So I immediately started in that on that path. And the major was engineering, mechanics, and astronautics. Super excited to learn about aeronautics and learn about how to make rockets and airplanes and just learn all the things about that. And I pushed through. Engineering was difficult because there's a lot of work involved in terms of like all the stuff that you need to learn before you really are an engineer. So after I graduated, I worked at the financial aid office for a couple months, and then I got a job in the division of continuing studies as an enrollment coach. And I'm currently still an enrollment coach right now. And as an enrollment coach, I help graduate students or prospective graduate students, help them through the kind of see through all of it. See through what programs are there for them, what's their background, what is their eligibility. Let's talk about the application. How are we going to get through this? What letters of recommendations do we need? How do we write an essay? So I help them kind of guide them through the whole process. I work specifically with the engineering programs here at UW-Madison. So engineering graduate programs here, and it was I really enjoy it. I get to help and talk to people about things that they love, they want to do, and I help them kind of achieve the dreams that they are kind of going for. And um, that's something that I'm really happy about and able to do. I started my job in 2019 October as an enrollment coach full time. Um, and I wasn't even in the office for a full year until March 2020 came, and we all know what happened then.
We'll hear how the pandemic influenced Jesus' decision to go back to school after this short break.
This episode of Your Future, Your Way comes from UW-Madison Professional Programs, offering more than 80 graduate-level programs, including online, evening, and weekend options for working adults. For more details, visit us at go.wisc.edu/pro.
I lived in a studio at the time, and I lived by myself. So it was me, myself, and I always. And that gave me some time to think because I didn't have to go into the office, and I learned a lot about myself, especially with what was happening around that time. George Floyd's murder, um, Aubrey's murder, that kind of got me. It really hit me because I was like, whoa, what is happening here? Like, I never really looked into that stuff in terms of inequality and racism and how racism has affected opportunities for people. The real story that really got me was Rodney King, since that was one of the first really police brutality examples that was recorded. And you can see if you haven't seen the recording, a lot of very explicit and hard. It's very hard to watch, but I felt like I had to watch it. And there's a Netflix documentary, and it's about the LA riots, and how Rodney King was kind of part of that. The brutality against Rodney King was a part of that, and that hit me in terms of, okay, there's a real issue here. This is not something I can ignore anymore, or just kind of live being oblivious to it, saying like, oh, I'm just doing me, I'm trying to play my game, I'm trying to live my life and trying to become that engineer and work in capitalism and kind of just gain as much money as I can to be this image of, I'm not even sure what it was. So I was able to have a good deep think about, what am I really want to do? What do I love? Who am I, pretty much? And when I really started getting down to it, I realized that I'm a problem solver. Throughout my career, the jobs that I really enjoyed were in student services. I really enjoyed working with students. I really enjoyed being kind of a mentor, helping students kind of get through really any struggle that they were having. And they were pointed at certain areas, right? Academics, financial aid. So that kind of led me into, okay, education, the inequalities there. So something that really gets me is the school to prison pipeline. So that means when students are expelled or suspended, now they are not in school. They have a higher chance of having a run-in with police, and comes back to George Floyd, Aubrey, Rodney King. What happens when boys of color meet the police? What happens? There's a track record there. Education just kind of was that natural path for me to think, okay, there's a problem here. Let me try and fix it. So that's the route I started going on, and I found a program that fit with my interests, my needs, my timeline, and I had funding for it. And I applied to the special education teacher certification master's program, got the funding that allowed me to be able to do this program, teacher pledge, which is a great opportunity for any Wisconsinites that are interested there in that. And that's I started my program in summer 2021. I'm in my first real semester of in-person learning, and immediately the first class I knew, I was like, yep, I'm in the right major. I found it. I know that this is it, because in special education, people with disabilities, not even only in education, but in society, people with disabilities are discriminated against at a massive rate.
Finding an area that you are passionate about is one thing. Finding the time, resources, and energy to pursue a master's degree is another. Listen as Jesus talks about how he balances work and study and what it feels like to be an older, more experienced student in class.
It is balancing work and school is it's not easy. I do have to say that it's not easy, especially in a master's program. Not easy at all. But if engineering taught me anything, also was to kind of push, right? Like I said, I pushed through engineering, but in this sense, I'm not just pushing through, but I'm learning as well, and I'm truly loving what I'm learning. My partner supports me in a way that I've never really had a partner to support me in that way, and that really changes that. And I'm at a lot stabler of a place. I'm a lot economically more stable, with being half time at my being an enrollment coach half time. That gives me things like healthcare. I didn't have healthcare in undergrad. So that is one thing that helps me almost be okay with working hard. But it's the supports I have, the privileges I have of being economically more stable than I was in the past. That's been really helpful, and just having a different mindset of where I'm at and knowing that I'm going down a path that I want to go to that wasn't prescribed to me because I'm good at math and science. So I think it's a lot more of inner drive that helps me get through it. But in terms of like hard, like actual things that help me get through it is I make sure that I know when I'm going to do work. If I know that my class is on Monday, Tuesday, I need to do all my readings for that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or the week before, because I am not going to be able to read it all on Monday because my classes, I work and then I have class. And then I get home at 8, and who wants to just keep reading at 8? I'm tired. So it's planning ahead so that I plan my breaks ahead of time, meaning that I plan what I need to do to have those breaks ahead of time, because breaks are really important. I like to keep my Saturdays for me, and that is huge. Having one day that's just for me, that I don't like doing work or thinking of work or just doing all of that. So um, self-care is important. And something I feel like I was missing in undergrad, but really do feel like I have a better grasp on what self-care is now.
And with a newfound passion for a subject, Jesus found he had new hopes and dreams.
Yeah, hopes and dreams. Let's see. I am interested, one, in being, I'm going to be a teacher. Obviously, when I graduate, I'll be a special education teacher. I think I'll get a specialization in math. There's not many special education teachers in math. There's also not many special education teachers that are men of color. And there's not many teachers that are men, and even less that are men of color. So I'm excited to be a teacher. I'm excited to kind of see how policies affect teachers' lives and how they affect students' lives, and how to implement all I'm learning in my master's program into the classroom. I'm really excited about that.
And Jesus has some advice for our listeners out there who may also be considering a change or a pivot from what they did in undergrad and what they feel moves them now.
Be honest with yourself. Think about why you're doing this, because if your heart's not into it, or really if you're not into it, if you're not doing this for the reasons that you feel are important for you, and you might be doing this to abide to society, or your expectations of your parents, or expectations of society that you start to believe your own self, that can get a little sticky down the road. Because as I had in my engineering experience, that I noticed that I just didn't like it. I was miserable. It's not something to take lightly. It's hard to pivot in general. So first, I would always say, talk to your people in your lives. Talk to the people who help you make decisions, people you trust, people you want to give you honest advice on how to proceed in something like pivoting. Also, kind of question yourself, why are you pivoting? Are you pivoting because of the economic stability that might come with the pivot, or are you pivoting because there's a passion that you have, or maybe you're doing it for both?
A special thanks to Jesus for sharing his inspirational story. We wish him the best in his academic journey and can't wait to see how he uses his degree to improve the educational landscape in the classroom and beyond. Join us next time to learn more about professional programs at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Learn how to shape your future your way.